Oh, right. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Music's on. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome on in to the Zelda podcast, the Kokiri Chronicles, where I talk about Zelda theories, lore, references, Easter eggs, etc. for every third day of the month. So, we are finally on the 11th episode, and honestly, I want to say, once again, thank y'all so much for always tuning into the podcast, tuning in and hanging out, especially on YouTube when they get uploaded as well. I really do appreciate it. I can't believe it. We're already at 11 episodes. It's honestly is crazy. It is crazy, but thank you guys so much. And because of you guys, I get to keep doing this, so you guys are amazing. And if you guys are enjoying the show, be sure to do the following by liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good jazz, as it really helps me out. So, thank y'all so much for being here. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. So, last month, we were sitting here and talking about 5 from Skyward Sword, to where we were briefly pretty much discussing how with every incarnation of the hero who wields the Master Sword, whether it be the hero of time, the hero of Twilight, or just any other Link out there, including the hero of the sky from Skyward Sword, she's always there, just granting them power to vanquish all forms of evil, whether this Link is fighting Ganon or any other villain in the series, though. But it's a really good episode. So today actually marks a very special episode because we are celebrating 15 years of this beautiful gem. A gem that is considered to be underrated by many fans, but a lot of people definitely tend to like it. So we're talking about the 15th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Now, I've had a lot of fond memories playing this game growing up. I played a lot of this game when I was a teenager, back in high school, around the same year that it came out, back in 2009. And joining me on the show is going to be my best friend and mod, Sora850. Unfortunately, he is AFK right now, but he definitely will be here shortly. When he gets back, he definitely will be here shortly. But in the meantime, for this episode, we are going to talk about Spirit Tracks, how I got involved with this game, and basically where does it stand 15 years later. So my first introduction with Spirit Tracks was I got this as a gift I got this as a Christmas gift when I was still in high school. I remember getting this game. This is actually the same copy that I've got back on Christmas Day in 2009. This is definitely was one of the things that I wanted, and I remember being so excited when I just undid the Christmas wrapping, opened this and was like, oh my god, this is for real. It's freaking Spirit Tracks. It's Spirit Tracks. Right here in my possession. So, I pretty much have spent the entire Christmas day, well, pretty much the entire Christmas break, just playing this game. Honestly, it was something though, but I definitely enjoyed it. But how I got introduced to this game was, I remember seeing a YouTube trailer a long time ago. This is way before the game came out. So I remember a long time ago, I was looking up a YouTube video, a guide for Phantom Hourglass, which is another DS Zelda game. I was looking up a guide because I got lost, and I was like, okay, where am I supposed to go? What do I need to do? All that good jazz. So I got lost. So I was looking up a guide to in the part where I got lost. I don't remember where I was lost. That was a long time ago. But so I got lost, and I remember I saw this little video on the corner, kind of like on YouTube where you see all these corners, oh, this is a video you can watch later or whatever. And I saw a trailer that said The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. I'm like, huh, another Zelda game coming out? And in 2009, so I clicked on it, and it was a trailer for this little gem. It was a trailer for Spirit Tracks. And the moment I just saw Link riding on the train, there's a spirit of Zelda there. I'm just like, oh my god. This definitely plays a lot like Phantom Hourglass, but it's just Link just riding on a train, and Zelda's a ghost for some reason. I don't know how or what happened to her. I mean, I don't know how she died. I mean, that was my guess when I first saw the trailer. So, I mean, part of me was thinking like, okay, it probably might be some form of magic or something, because I know like Zelda's mostly was capable of playing with of using different kinds of magic. So that was my guess. My guess is like, okay, Zelda is a spirit now. She's using magic. But when the game came out and I played it, I was like, okay, now I understand. Now I totally do understand. But I will say this though, y'all. I feel like there probably might be a reason why to a lot of people that Spirit Tracks is considered to be an underrated gem. It's underrated. And I feel like it's because, I can totally understand, like, not many people grew up owning a DS handheld. Like, whether you're playing the regular DS or DSi, DS Lite, anything, any DS. I mean, heck, you can even have a 3DS. Why don't you? I mean, you can play it on a 3DS handheld. But yeah, I can totally understand why not many people grew up owning a DS. So it's totally understandable. I mean, obviously, I love the fact that this game is definitely on the Wii U Virtual Console. So that's a plus. That's a bonus, though. But I can understand why Spirit Tracks is definitely not talked about by so many people, though. But honestly, I think it's a really great game. Like, me personally, and I feel like this applies for a lot of people and a lot of hardcore Zelda fans, such as myself, that a lot of people prefer this game over Phantom Hourglass. Like, I will say this, though. The game's got a pretty solid story. Spirit Tracks has a pretty solid story. Like, sure, it definitely runs on kind of like the same engine like Phantom Hourglass. You do the same things like you do with Phantom Hourglass. Like, oh, use the stylus to control Link. And, like, use the stylus to control Link. Guide him on where you want him to go. Use the stylus to, like, use items. To use any form of item, whether it be boomerang or chuck a bomb or something. Write notes on a map. Or, like, use the stylus to, like, guide the train in the world in Hyrule on where you want the train to go and where do you want it to stop. But the train mechanic, no. I really did like the train mechanic, though. I think it's really cool. I love how you can customize it. Kind of like in Phantom Hourglass, I like how you can customize Linebeck's ship. Like, you can definitely customize the actual train itself. I think it's actually is really freaking cool. I think it's pretty neat. But I really do like Spirit Tracks. Now, what was I going to say? Yeah, like I said, yeah. We're still waiting for Sora to be here, but he'll be here. He'll definitely will jump in when he gets back from his little errand. He'll be here. But what I was saying is that okay, Sora said he'll be here soon. He'll definitely will be here soon. And looking at Twitch chat, we got Leo. Yo, Leo, welcome on in. Good morning, Leo. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a shout out. I'm gonna go ahead and shout you out. But yeah, good morning, Leo. Good morning. We are talking about Spirit Tracks today for this episode of the podcast. Sora just said he'll be here soon. He'll definitely will be here soon. But yeah, we're talking about Spirit Tracks and how it holds up 15 years later. But if there's one thing I will give credit for this game is, like, I really like how, just like Phantom Hourglass, like, this game just definitely has variety. It has a lot of variety. Like, you can play a mini game to, like, get a heart container. Also, did I mention that you actually get heart containers instead of heart pieces, like kind of like in traditional Zelda games? So when you play a traditional Zelda game, whether it be 2D or 3D, like, if you want to get a heart container, you need like 4 heart pieces to get a brand new heart container. Well, 5 heart pieces if you're playing Twilight Princess. But with this game, you get full-fledged heart containers. Like I don't like heart pieces to me just don't exist in Spirit Tracks. Like, it's like, you want to get extra heart container? Oh, no problem. They're just out in the area. Or you can just complete a game for a side quest or whatever. And it's like, oh, there you go. There it is. Oh my god. But looking at Twitch chat, yeah, no problem, Leo. No problem. I definitely do appreciate you being here. Leo, have you heard of this game before? Have you played this before? Have you heard of it? Have you heard of this title before? But, dude, this is such a really good game. This is really, really good. Now, I feel like the cherry on top for this game, the one thing I do want to add about Spirit Tracks, is when you do think about it, and I feel like a lot of people tend to forget this, but this is the first Zelda game to where we had Princess Zelda playable in a mainline game. No, I'm not counting spin-offs like Hyrule Warriors or CDI. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that disgusting garbage. We don't talk about it. But this is the first game in a mainline title where Princess Zelda is playable. I mean, yeah, we all know like the starting row is, of course, Echoes of Wisdom, which by the way is a really great game. But honestly, this is where she got her start here for being a legit playable character. I mean, yeah, she's not the main character. Obviously, you mostly play as Link majority of the time. But yeah, there are times where you actually do get to play as Princess Zelda. Like, even though she's definitely is in her spirit form, I think it's cool that you actually get to play as her. I love like how she's really helpful throughout the main game. Like she kind of like gives hints and clues on, you know, where you need to go and stuff like that. I think it's actually is really, really cool. You know, she like I love how she actually gets to possess like phantoms for like combat. I think it's actually really cool, like how she can definitely ride around in phantom armor. Of course, you use the stylus to like guide her, like, oh, where do you want her to go? What enemies should she attack? But honestly, having a playable Zelda in a mainline game is actually really cool. Looking at Twitch chat, Leo says, have not. I'm still working on my first Zelda game. Well, Leo, I think you got this. I feel like you would like this game. I mean, I'm sure Kai might have it in her inventory somewhere, so maybe she can show it to you sometime. I think that would be nice for you two to have a little playthrough together. Also looking at Twitch chat, is that T-Shaw? You're in the wrong channel, my friend. Wrong place. But also, Valkyrie, welcome on in. Good morning. Good morning, Valkyrie. We are talking about Spirit Tracks. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, he's finally here. It is Sora!
The fun has arrived. Thank you very much.
Yeah, can you guys hear? Let me know in the Twitch chat if you guys can hear Sora okay. But Sora, how are you doing today?
Doing good. A little rushed around, as per usual. But
no, that is totally understandable. So while you were doing your errand, we were just talking about my experience with the game, how I got involved, what are some thoughts on it, why to some people it's considered underrated, and how much of a badass that Zelda is in this game, considering like this is actually it's the first time she gets to be playable in a mainline title.
Yeah, I was listening in as much as I could.
Oh, okay. So Sora, a little birdie told me that, and I know you've obviously told me this before in the past, but this is your favorite 2D Zelda game.
That be correct.
So Sora, would you like to share with everyone your first involvement with this game and why, out of all the 2D Zelda games, why is this the #1 2D title?
So, the way I actually found this game was literally from a random YouTube video of someone's playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I've never heard of this game, so I kind of wanted to look at it. It looked fun and strange at the exact same time. And I guess that's what drew me to it.
Yeah.
But I decided to try it for myself, but the only way I could play it at the time was through emulation. So I literally downloaded a DS emulator just to play this game. And in a way, that wasn't the best because the computers I had to play it on at the time, the game was not running well
Oh
because the computers
no.
weren't strong. Yeah, so my first experience playing Spirit Tracks was not great just because of the computers and me playing it on an emulator and me having to use a mouse to play it. Well, the mouse in itself wasn't a problem. It was the fact that the game was very buggy. Well, not buggy, but it was laggy. I somehow managed to beat it that way though. I don't ask me how because even I don't know how I managed to do it. But I had like, despite the fact that it was very laggy, I had a ton of fun with the game.
Hmm.
It definitely was a strange game, but that's honestly what I like about it.
Hmm.
Because like the story is strange, the concept is strange.
Yeah.
Everything about it was strange. It reminded me of Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
It's basically the Majora's Mask of the DS games.
Yeah, I can definitely
And
see that.
I I just had a ton of fun with it. I did play through the game a couple years ago again. Like I think it was back in 2021. I did replay the game on my 3DS,
Hmm.
and so I finally got to play it natively at full speed, and I had twice the amount of fun as the first time. I was thinking, okay, maybe I can see why everybody dislikes this game if I play it again. No, I still don't get it. I ended up just having a lot more fun with it.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So does that explain like why this is your number one 2D Zelda title?
Well, that's part of the reason, honestly. Like the strange concept and the story and everything and the gameplay. That's only one reason. I think another reason is I like how this game did everything better than Phantom Hourglass. It literally fixed all of my problems with Phantom Hourglass.
Yes.
Because like, you do have to go back to the Tower of Spirits the same way as the Temple of the Ocean King, but they actually mix things up, and you always have something new to do every time you go there. Plus, the music is a lot better.
Yeah, which honestly we're listening to right now.
Yep, exactly. Also, Valkyrie said that I sound good. Thank you for letting us know that.
Thank you, Valkyrie.
Um, but speaking of the story, I think the story is a highlight because of how strange it is, but
Yeah.
that works to the uniqueness of the game. Because like, my thing is, Spirit Tracks is the most unique 2D Zelda game.
It
because
is.
of the way it uses the concept and the way the story is told with the concept.
Yeah.
It also had some really fun plot twists in it as well. Like, I don't know when you wanted to bring him up, but Chancellor Cole being one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, I will say that when I first played to the game and I saw Chancellor Cole, I was like, whenever he gave that grin, like with that wide-eyed grin, it's like, oh, you should be focusing on polishing your train. You should run off now. Bye-bye. Like, my first impression, like, as a teenager is like, something's really off about him.
Oh, it is painfully obvious.
And I kind of don't like him. And then when you actually yeah, and then like when you're riding off and like in the beginning of the game to the Tower of Spirits with Alfonso and Zelda, and like the spirit tracks just vanish. It's like, oh, here comes Cole, and oh look, he brought a freaking buddy. Here comes Byrne. Which honestly, can I just say that, you know, I know he's not talked about much, but Byrne is one of the coolest characters in the entire series. I freaking love Byrne.
Byrne is awesome. No one can tell me otherwise. He is awesome.
I mean, it sucks actually to what happens to him, but Byrne was so cool, dude.
Yeah, he was cool. It was tragic what happened to him for sure, but good lord.
Yeah, and honestly, throughout the entire time, like when I was playing just Spirit Tracks, I like knowing like, oh, of course, you know, Malladus takes over Zelda's body, and now Zelda's a spirit. Like basically the whole time, I just felt like to me, it kind of felt like obviously this game came out like 2 years before Skyward Sword did, but to me, you know, like playing it back in 2009 and jumping forward to it years later, like playing this game, I'm just like, you know, it kind of gives you that Skyward Swordish kind of that early Skyward Swordish kind of vibe. So like, you know what? It's like no matter what happens, even though she's a spirit or she's taking over Phantom armor, I want to protect her. I want to make sure that she's okay and nothing happens to her. You know?
Yeah, which, by the way, speaking of the Phantom armor thing, using Princess Zelda to take over the Phantoms was probably one of my favorite parts about the game.
That is actually really cool. And also, I like to bring this up, but I love the fact like how Spirit Tracks Zelda is also a playable character in the original Hyrule Warrior series, and the Phantom Armor is, if it wasn't too obvious, is Zelda's down special in Smash.
Well, now I have to play Hyrule Warriors.
Wait, I thought. Wait, you didn't know that?
I didn't play enough of Hyrule Warriors to know that.
Oh, yeah. Spirit Tracks Zelda is a playable character, and you can actually move her. You're in the Phantom Armor the entire time. She's really fun to play.
I'm definitely gonna have to give that a try.
Yeah.
I have it on my Wii U, so I'll probably try it on there.
Yeah. Spirit Tracks Zelda is really, really fun to play. I think in that game they just call her Toon Zelda. In that one, I think. Yeah, I think it's just Toon Zelda.
Sounds about right.
But she's playable. Okay, and speaking of Zelda herself, I will say though, like throughout the series, like I think she is one of the best Princess Zeldas we've ever had, and I think it's great like how they actually gave her a game to where, of course, not counting spin-off titles, but a mainline game to where you can play as her. I think that is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
really incredible.
And honestly, I'm gonna agree with you, Sora. Like when you mentioned about the Tower Spirits, like definitely fixing things up. I mean, yeah, sure, you know, like the whole game is like, oh, you got to restore the Spirit Tracks, go to the Tower Spirits, and like climb each floor to like get something new and even learn something new. And of course, obviously, that kind of whole thing kind of applied with the Temple of the Ocean King in Phantom Hourglass, even though we don't talk about that place.
Talk about what place? I've never heard of it.
Exactly. But I liked what they did in those Tower Spirits to where like oh, like instead of like, you know, in Temple of Ocean King, like, oh, you have to start at the very bottom of the floor every fucking time. You have to climb that stupid piece of shit. Like, just like, oh, I gotta go get this. I gotta go find this other floor to go get another, to open the box to give me another freaking sea chart so I can go here for the next area. But here in Spirit Tracks, it's like, oh, I can just start on the first floor. Like, obviously, sorry, you can agree with me, like, the first floor was kind of like a mini tutorial. Like, oh, like, how to use Zelda's Phantom Armor, how to control her. Like, how to, like, get to know the Tower Spirits dungeons. And then once you come back, like, once the Tower Spirits, like, part of it's restored, you don't have to go back to the first floor. You can just go to the one that you couldn't go to before and just enter in that room.
Yeah. It really irks me that in Phantom Hourglass, they don't even give you a shortcut to any of the floors until the very end of the game.
Yeah.
And it's literally the last one.
Yeah. Now, I want to know, though. I know we've had, like, a lot of underrated villains in the series. Like, obviously, one of them being Vati, for example. And, like, Vati and Bellum. But, now, what are your personal thoughts on Malladus?
Malladus is terrifying. Like, legitimately terrifying. Like, the first time I actually saw him, I dropped my jaw at how creepy he looked.
Yeah. Especially, like, given, like, the whole, like red evil eyes kind of scheme.
Yeah, I mean, heck, he looked creepy when he was possessing Zelda's body.
Which, by the way, while you're talking, Sora, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a picture and show it to the chat.
Gotcha. But yeah, he already looked creepy when possessing Zelda's body, but when he was in his full demon form, I was legitimately terrified.
Oh.
It didn't help that on my first playthrough, the game was kind of laggy, so it slowly emerged out. Which kind of added to the creepiness because of how slow he was coming out.
Which, by the way, y'all, this is what she looks like right here. Like, that is just... Please tell me that is not terrifying.
That is literal nightmare fuel.
That is terrifying, dude. I'm like, what the fuck? That is creepy.
It's literal nightmare fuel. I'm sitting here like, good lord. Even now, it still creeps me out. With
it is.
How Malladus looks.
It is really, really terrifying. But I will say this though. Another thing I do want to add on is Cole, Chancellor Cole, is a fucking bitch. I hate him. He's a pompadori jackass.
I want to punt that light Funko Pop across the I will feel like a football.
Oh my god. But dude, I hated him from the start, and I even hated him till now, to where he was just like, so to me, like, he was just that villain to where I feel like with Cole, like, I know, like, you know, like, he had like that whole purpose of just being evil and like wanting to like work for King Malladus and like even controlling Byrne and telling him like what he has to do, and does like literally like killing Byrne. Spoiler alert: he does kill Byrne, which is sad.
I'm still sad about that,
dude. So I'm gonna say this though, and like having the combination of like Cole and Malladus kind of like merge together as like this final boss. Like can we say as a whole that both Malladus and Cole were kind of like parasites, kind of like with the whole Bellum thing?
Yeah, Cole for sure was a parasite.
Also, looking at Twitch chat, we got Bahamut. Good morning, good morning, Bahamut. How's it going? Welcome on in. Welcome in, Bahamut. But yeah, like, dude, like Malladus kind of had like that whole transition of a villain, of being a parasite, like literally like taking over something, kind of like, because when you do think about it, like in Phantom Hourglass, Bellum was like legit a parasite, like taking up like eating up souls of like things, and like the way like how he freaking possessed Linebeck at the end of the game. Yeah, but with Malladus was a complete parasite. First taking over Princess Zelda's body, and then he takes over Cole.
Cole deserved it.
Yeah, Chancellor Cole really did deserve it. He's a freaking bitch.
I will say this, and I actually tried to say this earlier, but this is actually fitting more for this part. It was painfully obvious that Cole was evil. And I mean painfully obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely don't expect to find out that he's a demon, though. Like, the moment you find out he's a demon, I'm sitting here questioning the Royal Guard. Like, how did you let this slip by you?
Yeah, how did this little... I mean, I know he's definitely is considered like a government official for the Kingdom of Hyrule, but how was this man able to surpass a background check or whatever to like serve Hyrule, to serve the royal family? How did this man even pass?
I had no idea, because like he wears two freaking hats, and I thought the way he wore the hats was strange, but then you take them off and you see horns beneath them, and I'm like, that explains why he wears them like that.
Yep, he's hiding the form that he's actually a demon.
Not to mention his whole demeanor and attitude. Like, seriously, how?
Yeah, he's a strange kind of fellow. No, he's strange.
It also kind of irked me a little bit when he literally said, "Who would have thought that Chancellor's just another word for royal babysitter?"
I know, I saw that and I was like, bruh.
I was like, I want to just drop kick you now.
Dude, I think we all want to drop kick Chancellor Cole.
You know who Chancellor Cole reminds me of?
Who?
Plankton.
Yeah, he's pretty much Plankton's like, I went to college.
I went to college.
Bahamut says in the Twitch chat, fun fact, did you know his name also comes from the LNR class A4468 Mallard, the holder for speed world record in steam loco... Oh! I didn't know that! That's pretty interesting. Sora, did you know that? Did you know that?
No, I did not know that, actually, but I just thought of something funny.
Tell me.
Trains are powered by, especially trains that use, like, smoke or whatever. They're powered by coal.
This is true. Also, looking at the Twitch chat. Oh, Leo, yo, thank you so much for giving a random gift sub to Allie, aka Luigi Girl. Thank you so much, Leo. Thank you so much for being too generous. You are freaking incredible. Thank you for the gift sub, Leo.
Yes, thank you for the gift sub.
Y'all, Leo's MVP.
But yeah, I find it funny that his name is literally Chancellor Cole. And,
Yeah.
you know, coal is used to, like, make fire.
Yep. He's the one who's getting coal in his stocking.
On top of that, he's also a demon, which is, you know, they come from hell, and hell is hot, just like the fire that coal fuels.
Yeah, that's that's genius.
I actually never made that connection till now.
Also, so diving into some just a teeny bit of lore. So I want to ask you something, Sora. So when you first played Spirit Tracks for the first time, were you also that same person who was like, oh, this is Link from Wind Waker? Because I'll be honest with you, teenager me was like, oh, this is definitely is Link from Wind Waker. Because, like, even at the start of the game, you even see that Link is living with Nico, where he's like, he's an old man now. But canonically, this is the same Nico who actually traveled with the Hero Winds back in Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. And then looking at it now, I'm like, oh, it's not Link from Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. I mean, it looks like him, but it's somebody else.
I mean, I knew it was a different incarnation of Link, but it definitely did strike me as odd whenever Nico from Wind Waker was there. I'm sitting here like, exactly how long has it been? Because, like, if Nico's still alive, it couldn't have possibly been 100 years, right?
Yeah.
But no.
And here he is in the flesh.
Yeah. So, like, there's two things that come to mind. Either the Hero Winds died before 100 years happened and then got reincarnated shortly after. He's a peepaw. Oh
yeah, he's a peepaw.
Oh my lord, that's pretty good.
I love that Valk.
But either what I just said happened, or Nico just lived to be like 200 years old somehow.
Yeah, and he's still alive, and like even looking at another character who looks legit like another Wind Waker character. When you look at Alfonso, obviously he looks a lot like Gonzo. So I don't know. Did they ever mention that Alfonso is like a descendant or like the son or like a grandson of Gonzo? Did they ever mention it anymore?
They don't mention it. The only thing that they mention is that he's someone who served the royal family for a long time.
Yeah.
Also looking at Twitch chat, Bahamut says Spirit Tracks takes place a century after Wind Waker, so Nico's over 100. Yeah,
this is true.
So my second point stands. He lived to be over 100 years old.
This is true. So honestly, what I probably think what happened to the Hero Winds is obviously you remember at the end of Wind Waker, right? To where the King of Hyrule, aka the King of Red Lions, is like, you know, he tells Link and Zelda, you know, saying like, oh, like when you go back to the surface, I want you to keep on sailing the seas and discover a new land. But it's not going to be my land, it's going to be your land. And then, like, after the events of Phantom Hourglass, they discovered this new land, to which they call it New Hyrule. To where they start their own kingdom, their own establishment. Because, you know, from there, like the old Hyrule, you know, obviously it's still flooded because of the Great Flood from the events that happened before Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, it's not just flooded; it's straight up gone. Because like
that too.
The King of Red Lions used his wish on the Triforce to literally obliterate it.
Ooh, also, Bahamut says in the Twitch chat, he said, I just looked it up. Turns out that Gonzo is Alfonso's grandfather. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. So Alfonso is the grandson of Gonzo. Okay, so that's pretty legit.
That's actually pretty neat. I like that. I like that little ancestral connection to Wind Waker.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, like, even if you look inside, inside Hyrule Castle, like there's like a stained glass of Tetra.
Yeah, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, and even Angine definitely tells Zelda like about her ancestor, like, or I guess in this case, like, I think Tetra is like Spirit Tracks is Zelda's grandma.
Well, also remember at the end of Spirit Tracks, Zelda literally calls on Tetra's power, even calling her by name, saying, "Tetra, lend me your strength."
This is true.
Just before taking her body back from Malladus.
This is actually true. And speaking of this, okay, Sora, we gotta talk. How about the final boss fight against Malladus Cole?
Against Malladus Cole?
Yeah.
Specifically, that fight was kind of frustrating.
It is, like, isn't it like, yeah, I think it's like the first half, like, she's like praying and you have to like dodge all those fireball rocks.
Oh, you're talking about like that sequence. That's when Malladus is possessing Zelda.
Yeah, like the whole fight. Like I just called it Malladus Cole because like it's just Malladus possessing Cole.
Well, Cole wasn't really possessed yet. Like the moment Cole gets possessed is when the demon form comes out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Also looking at Twitch chat, yo Bowie, welcome in, buddy. How you doing?
Welcome in, Bowie.
And then Bahamut says, imagine if the hero Spirit Tracks was descended from Wind Waker Link. I mean, it might be a connection. I mean, it honestly really doesn't confirm much of it.
I actually think he is descended from him because Spirit Tracks only takes place 100 years later, and he's literally the next Link incarnation after the hero wins, so he has to be.
Yeah, he can probably be linked by spirit.
But the fight with the final fight with Malladus Zelda, where like throwing fireballs at you, that part's kind of frustrating if you don't pay attention. If you just pay attention, it's not too bad, but it is a bit aggravating, especially whenever he likes to throw the 3 rows of fireballs and you have to keep spinning, and then Link gets dizzy and whatnot. That part's aggravating. I've lost that fight so many times because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I will say though, it's a pretty good fight, especially like how when you have the when you do have the oh my god, whatchamacallit, when you do have the like the song playing, like all the songs that you actually learn throughout the game.
The music is beautiful. Like, good lord, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, Spirit Tracks is some of my favorite Zelda soundtrack ever.
Yeah, it's a pretty good song though. Now, I will say this though, when I was a teenager, I did have complications, just a tiny bit, with playing songs on the Spirit Flute. Like when you're playing it with the sages, I had a little bit of problems. So I was like, oh, you need to play it this way, and then of course you gotta like hold the console and then use the stylus at the same time to like guide the Spirit Flute to go like and just blow it.
Yeah, I'll go into that bit in a moment once I'm finished talking about the final boss, because like the second form where you're fighting the demon form, that was probably one of the coolest final bosses I've ever seen.
It's
especially
really
with
cool.
The way you actually have to have Zelda and Link team up against Malladus, it was freaking good.
Yeah. Bahamut says the Spirit Flute was a pain in the ass to you. Yeah, at times it can be. At times it definitely can be a little bit of a pain to use.
Yeah, it definitely was a pain to use at times, but I think my favorite part of the final boss, though, was like at the very end when Link's having to shove the sword in his forehead and Zelda literally...
I was gonna get into that! Like, the way how just, like stabs him right in the freaking skull. Like, dude, this is literally Wind Waker all over again.
Yeah, but this time it's Link and Zelda actually doing it. Like, they really go out of their way to let you know this is not just Link's adventure, this is both of their adventure.
Exactly. And speaking of Link and Zelda, can I just say, like, I think it's really cute that the entire game, Link actually has a crush on Zelda. I think it's really cute. Because when he's in the throne room, and he's like kneeling just to show respect. The first time he sees her, he's like, you can look at his cheeks and he's like legit blushing. I'm like, dude, that's really freaking cute.
I think they developed a crush on each other by the end of the game. Actually,
I think they did. Dude, they held hands. They held hands.
They were too innocent. Too innocent. Love it.
Bahamut says in reference to the Malladus fight, it's a reference to the Ocarina of Time Ganon defeat. This is true.
That is true.
But honestly, dude, like out of all, like, in every Zelda game, like, you know, like it's like, okay, when you play a Mario game and you say Peach, like, obviously sometimes Mario would get a kiss from her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you play a Zelda game, you kind of expect, like, oh, like when Link's like, oh, do I get a kiss too, or do I at least get a hug from her? But no, wait, but in this game, not only do you get a massive hug from her at the end of the game, but they freaking hold hands like they're a couple, bro.
Yeah, you see, for their child selves, that's fine. But I want to see adult Link and Zelda kiss each other.
I mean, yeah, there's like some romance implications involved in games like Breath of the Wild and Tears. Like, there's some romance.
Skyward Sword debated me, and I will never forgive it for that.
Wait, who?
Skyward Sword. They debated us into thinking they were going to kiss, and Zelda's like, "No, I'm just gonna shove you off the top of the freaking mountain." I'm like, really? You debated me so hard.
You got debated, bro.
I will never forgive it. I will never forgive Skyward Sword for that.
Oh my god. So here's another one, Sora. Real quick, let's talk about the land of Hyrule. The Kingdom of Hyrule. Honestly, it looks really pretty. Like, you got like your variety of places. Like, you got like your grassy areas, your oceans, your snow territory, fire territory, desert territory. Like, the Kingdom of Hyrule looks so pretty, and I'm glad that you actually get to like gaze and like view it like as you're riding along the area. But also, I love the fact like how you can actually control a train that fires cannonballs. How often is it that you see a train that fires cannonballs?
Honestly, I think that was actually really cool. A lot of people hate the train in general. I like the train. I think it's fun.
It's really fun. Plus, you get to pull the whistle.
Automated. Yeah, blowing the whistle's fun. But yeah, the train is more automated, so you just have to ride along the tracks and you don't have as much control. But it's honestly a really cozy ride. And plus, you still have to be very careful of enemies, so it's not.
This
it's not
is
like
true.
You're sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, like those demon trains, dude. Those are terrifying, especially when you hear that song that plays when they're close by.
Those demon trains annoyed the heck out of me.
They are so annoying, and they're freaking everywhere. They're all over the place. Like, they're like you can just like oh, you're just listening to a calm, peaceful song like the one we're actually are hearing right now, and then they're just like demon music plays. Like, oh, here comes a train. It's close by. Like, oh, is it going to pass you? Is it right behind you? Or are you just going to ram right into it and then just instantly die?
There's actually two things I want to say to that.
Do it.
One, the amount of times that I ended up in front of one of those trains and it outsped me and crashed into me from behind when I was going at max speed annoyed me.
My god.
Second,
dude, I had that happen to me before too.
And second of all, I think that those demon trains were the original Guardians. The ones from friggin' Breath of the Wild. I think the demon trains were the original Guardian.
You know what?
Because
they do have that vibe. They have that vibe.
Yeah, they strike the same level of fear when their music plays. Because like you think of Breath of the Wild, you're exploring around, all of a sudden you hear a Guardian and it comes after you and it's ready to murder you. Spirit Tracks' demon trains are the same freaking thing. They strike fear into you with their music and they're ready to ram you.
Yeah, those trains are really, really terrifying. But another thing I do want to add was I really like how the dungeons were really challenging. Like compared to the ones that you see in Phantom Hourglass, these dungeons made you think a lot.
The dungeons and spirit tracks were way better than Phantom Hourglasses.
They really did. Like I will be honest though, like as a teenager, like even to this day, the one that actually gave me the most challenge, the most, was the water one. The water one gave me a lot of challenge.
Oh, the Ocean Temple.
Yeah, like the one where you had to like, cause like mostly like, oh, you had to like rely on the whip and just like find out like, oh, where do I need to chuck this? Like, do I need to chuck this here? Do I need to throw this here? Like, do I need to guide Link and go Batman style and cross this little gap over here?
I have to say, I think the Ocean Temple was one of the first water dungeons that didn't frustrate me. Because, like, Ocarina of Time's Water Temple frustrated me, and even Majora's Mask Temple frustrated me to a certain degree. But I never got that level of frustration from the Ocean Temple and Spirit Tracks. I actually thought it was cleverly designed and just challenging enough to not frustrate you, but make you think.
Okay, now here's my big question. Out of all the dungeon items in the game, which one would you consider to be the most useful, and which one is the most useless?
Most useful item would have to be the bow, in my opinion, because you could just, like, especially once you get the light arrows, you could just massacre everything, but even without the light arrows, the bow is super useful.
I love the light arrows.
I would have to say the least useful item would be the whip.
The whip,
like,
you
outside,
said?
Yeah, outside of the Ocean Temple, you don't really use it all that much, except for a few puzzles here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do want to make an add-on to that. Like, I will say, like, yeah, the arrows are definitely useful, especially when you actually get to use the light arrows. Like example, like, when you're doing that one minigame where you have to, like, help this little Goron kid, and you're just, like, shooting everywhere at these bokoblins and these little bokoblins that are just, like, everywhere. You know? It's pretty cool. It's pretty useful, but... And adding on to useless, I do agree. The whip is not used so many times unless you're, like, solving a puzzle, like, oh, you're doing a side quest that involves it. But another thing I do want to add on a little bit that also is kind of useless was the little pinwheel propeller thingy.
I actually did think about saying that one, but I could have found some pretty good uses for that. Even the whip didn't give me. So
yeah,
but that one would have to be the second most useless one.
Also, did you ever collect all the stamps? I did.
Yes, I did collect all the stamps.
Oh, Sora. Bunnyland. Rabbit Village.
Yes, Rabbit Land.
Getting, especially the man where you have the freaking Rabbit Man. Like, dude, he's just like a grown man who's just wearing a bunny costume. Like, what the hell is this guy?
I know, right? I'm questioning life the entire time I'm there, and plus, going out of your way to get all of those rabbits was definitely annoying.
Valkyrie says, he's the new
Tingle! She's not wrong.
Yeah, actually, you know what, Valkyrie? He's more like a depressed Tingle. I mean, like, there are times, like, yeah, he's depressed. Like, it's like, oh, my buddies are gone. And then every time, like, you go out into the world and, like, get all these bunnies, it's like, yay! My buddies are here!
I personally think he thinks he's a rabbit in the same way that Tingle thinks he's a fairy.
That's right! He does think he's a rabbit! He does give out that Tingle kind of vibe where Tingle's like, oh, I'm a little fairy. I'm an incarnation of a fairy, sir. And then you have the bunny man. It's like, oh, I'm actually a bunny.
Yeah, he even freaking dresses like one.
No. Oh yeah, Bahamut says, I personally think so Bahamut thinks the sand rod was the most useless.
Honestly, I can kind of see why he says that, because outside of the desert, you don't get to use it that much.
You don't. You really don't use the sand rod. Now, do you want to know something cool, Sora?
What?
Toon Link can actually use that as a weapon in Spirit Tracks. I mean, sorry, not Spirit Tracks, in Hyrule Warriors.
Okay, I was about to say.
Yeah, you can actually use the sand rod as a weapon in Hyrule Warriors for Toon Link.
Yeah, it doesn't have a use about. It has a use against the boss of the Sand Temple and in a few puzzles there, but yeah, outside of that, not really. Does he talk about being 35 years old too? No, he does not.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, only Tingle does that.
Yeah, that's still a Tingle exclusive, nonsensical thing.
Yeah, but also I love like how I was talking about this earlier before you came back from me, Aaron. But I love like how you're able to customize the terrain, kind of like how you could with Lineback Ship in Phantom Hourglass. Which, by the way, we have a freaking descendant or like a grandson of Lineback the Third.
And Lineback the Third.
It's like,
he's better there than what he was in Phantom Hourglass.
He acts a lot like his grandpa. He's like, oh, there's my little money-making guy. Would you like to trade for some cool stuff?
I want to walk into his shop and blow it up with a bomb.
Also, the fact like you can just travel around the world and you can just see Beetle just flying around in his airship to go to his shop.
Sometimes I would purposefully shoot him down and then leave. Just because I don't like Beetle.
Okay, can I just say this though? One of my favorite fights and probably my favorite dungeon fight was the one against I'm trying to think if I can say his name right. Fraz, the boss of Fire Icy.
Yeah, sounds about right. That one was pretty fun actually.
I freaking love fighting Fraz, which by the way, I'm gonna play the theme real quick in the chat. I'm gonna play the song first so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Which honestly, it is one of the most iconic fights in it, not just in Spirit Tracks, but in Zelda history. Like, do you want to know something, Zelda? I mean, I just called you Zelda!
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so Sora. Oh my god.
Wrong one.
Okay, so Sora. So Sora. Back when the Zelda Symphony of the Goddesses used to be a thing, like the orchestra concerts. So there's this song to where it was called Boss Battle Medley, and they would play like medleys of like boss battle themes. Like obviously you had like the middle boss battle theme from Ocarina of Time, the scene that plays when you fight Volvagia or King Dodongo in Ocarina of Time. But the one song that they play in that medley is the one you're hearing right now. They played Fraz's theme. Fraz's theme is in it. Especially that one golem fight. You know what I'm talking about, Sora? That one golem fight to where you're riding on the minecart and you had to like use the hammer and just go bop 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 like on the little coal.
Yeah, I know that one pretty well. That's actually my favorite boss in Spirit Tracks.
Really?
Yeah, that one was so cool. Princess Sora. Wow, thank you, Bob. Look at what you started, Fart Knocker.
Princess Sora. Oh my god. But now Sora, I do want to conclude things. Here. So I'm gonna let you go first on this one, and then I will end it off. But Sora, the game is turning 15 years old on December 7th of this year. So, for all of us Zelda fans out there, and for all the games that have been coming out, especially the new recent one we got with Echoes of Wisdom, 15 years later, Sora, how do you think this game still stands out to this day?
I think it stands out as, like, even still, I think it stands out as one of the strangest entries, but also one of the most fun if you adapt to the controls. Like, yes, it's a strange title, and definitely one that's not talked about much, but I honestly don't think a lot of people either gave it a chance or really had the chance to try it because it's stuck on the DS, especially now, in 2024 when the Switch is kind of rampant. And I think the only other chance people would have had to try it was on the Nintendo Wii U Virtual Console, but not many people owned a Wii U. So, sadly, Phantom Hourglass kind of missed the mark for a lot of people just because it either didn't appeal to them or it was stuck on platforms that they had no access to. But
yeah,
if given a proper chance, though, I really feel like it's one of the better games in the series, just because of how strange the story is and how well it's told at the same time. Like, they used the concept extremely well.
They did. And I agree with every key point. Now, for me, 15 years later, I mean, yeah, I can understand it's still underrated by fans because, you know, like we were saying before, Sora, and I even talked about this at the start of the show, not everybody grew up with this game because, you know, like not everyone probably owned like a DS console, whether it be a regular DS or a 3DS, which I can totally understand. And yes, you know, you like it still locks to this day to like the DS or if you got a Wii U on the Wii U Virtual Console. But you know, I'm sure not everybody owned the Wii U, which is totally understandable. But here's the hoping like the game could probably get remade or maybe be on the Switch too.
Yeah, not to mention, nowadays, if you even want to get it on Wii U, you literally have to hack your system because the eShop is no longer available.
This is true. But I will say this, though. To this day, 15 years later, I think it still holds out. I honestly think, you know, it still is considered to be one of the greatest Zelda games of all time. Or in your case, Sora, the best 2D Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do have one major issue with Spirit Tracks, though.
Yes.
The Locomo sections where you have to play the flute.
Yeah.
That is probably the wonkiest part of the game.
Oh wait, when you're playing it with the Locomo Sages, right?
Yeah, like I specifically had trouble with the Locomo Sage whenever I had to play the song to get to the Sand Temple. I failed that one so many times, even though I got the song on point. The freaking Locomo Sage was like, no, you didn't play it right. And I'm like, I know for a fact I got it right. I got everything on point, on cue, and he still kept failing me. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So I ended up looking it up, and it turns out with that one, there's literally a problem with that part of the game where the timing is kind of off.
Yeah.
Where, like, you have to play it basically like a second before you're supposed to. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that right there was honestly like the low point for me, to be honest. I thought that was so dumb. Like, why would they do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I had trouble with almost all of them. I think the first couple were fine, but then the ones after that were just like frustrating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like honestly, yeah, it does have some frustrating moments, but it's still a really, really great game though. But yeah, to this day, it's still good.
That's honestly my only complaint with Spirit Tracks, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, the rest of the game is phenomenal.
It is. But anyway, that is definitely going to wrap up the podcast. Sora, thank you so much for being here. I'm glad we got to talk about Spirit Tracks. And guys, I just want to say, happy 15 years to Spirit Tracks. Sora, anything you want to add real quick to the 15 years for Zelda? I mean, for Spirit Tracks.
Get your hands up. Out to your house, knock on your door, and then go raid your refrigerator and eat all your food.
So anyway, y'all. So, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and deafen you real quick.
Sounds good.
Give me 1 second. So anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys are watching this on YouTube by the day's upload, please don't forget to follow me by liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good jazz. So, guys, we are about to launch our 12th episode next year in January for 2025, and we're pretty much close to reaching our 1 year anniversary of me doing this, sitting here and starting my Zelda podcast. I can't believe it, guys. We're almost close to a year. Obviously, we started in February of this year. I was originally supposed to start it in January of this year, but unfortunately I couldn't because I had one of my family members pass away, so I couldn't do it. But so guys, be sure to come back next year for January 3rd in 2025. As for the next episode, we're gonna be having a long talk, and we're gonna be discussing on why I love Ocarina of Time so much. Why is it the best game ever made? Why is it my favorite game of all time? I'm going to sit here with you guys and talk about why I love Ocarina of Time so much. Why is it important to me? Why is it meaningful? We're going to sit here and talk about it. So be sure to come back in January as we talk about Ocarina of Time and why I actually love it so much. Oh, oops, I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. How dare you? So anyway, y'all, until next time, this has been your boy, Born of Kokiri. And I will see y'all in the next episode. See you guys then. Bye.